5 states, you probably have enough, 8 now?
North Carolina to Texas and Kentucky to Miami.
So he's home on the 3rd Thursday. Arden was here about a year and a half ago, gave a phenomenal presentation. Some people were angry or upset or whatever. I knew we had he's always available if we need him, and asked for a better representation for the John Bird Society for us. I appreciate it.
So before I begin, I want to talk about a few things. One is this book here, written in 1780 or 1798, Proofs of a Conspiracy. George Washington read this book and said, it's true. I got it back here on the table. So this shows that ever since the founding of America, they've been trying to destroy us. The other one is this book right here, the Blue Book. Our CEO, the new CEO, wants every member to read this book. This is the premier book on birching, the premier book on activism. If you think you know what you're doing, read this book and then you'll really know it. And he's got 3 copies for the chapter library. You check one out, read it, pass it to somebody. I have some for sale in the back if you want some extra. That is the book. It explains what's going on, why we do what we do, and the strategies that JBS implements. I typically sell them for the same price. This book here is actually cheaper. 15 online, I sell 2 for 20. Try to move them a little bit, and I save you shipping and handling. Which leads me to this one right here, the Doctrine of the Lesser Magistrates. So if you, has anybody seen that, it happened a couple of years ago, Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin? Y'all remember that? One of the things that Putin said, straight from the communist mouth, he said, you Americans, you're so efficient. I'd eliminate all your local governments and all your state governments, and I'd have one government in D.C. I spoke of true communists, right? Well, the beauty of what we have, the government we have, and we are a republic, not a democracy like that, like I said, is that we have lesser magistrates that are there to stand up to the greater magistrates. We just got to let people have the spine. Whether that be the local magistrate standing up to the state level or the state magistrate standing up to federal tier. Another nullification. So this talks about that. Nullification is the action. Doctrine of the Lesser Magistrate is the person, because if they implement a law that's contrary to the Constitution or contrary to their oaths, which they swore, then it's a null and void law. The last one is The Creature from Jekyll Island. Now it's a hefty book, but this is a comprehensive book. It goes through what took place on Jekyll Island and the establishment of the Fed. I had to read this book in sections because I would read a few chapters and I would get very upset and I would have to throw it down. And I actually met Jim and 17 finally, which is really good. So, I entitled this, Don't Fall Asleep in the Second Half of the Game. Now, I'm a Gamecock fan and I know how it is to fall asleep in the second half of the game. They tend to do this a lot. And so, since Trump got elected, I knew membership would fall off. I knew people would fall asleep, and so that's why I wanted to talk about this, because they're all still pushing for the same stuff. They don't care that Trump is president. As a matter of fact, they like it when people fall asleep, because then they can do whatever they want to do. I mean, look what happened when Reagan was president. Now, Reagan was one of the better presidents that we've had in the last 40 years, and through the Reagan administration, we got the banning of fully automatic weapons to private individuals, which that's a violation of the Second Amendment. We got, you can't sue the vaccine companies anymore. They got immunity. No fault divorce. That's very un-Christian. And Reagan did all that, and he was one of the better presidents. Yeah. And so, all this was done while people were asleep. Reagan got elected, everybody fell asleep, and here we are. So the question is, we got a reprieve from about, 3.5 years. Who's going to be president then? But we can't, and as conservatives, we like to fight only on defense. When there's an immediate threat, we fight tooth and nail, and when the threat goes away, we go. But you can't win a war playing defense. Now's the time to go on the offense. And I remember last time there were a lot more people here before, when Biden was president, who were fighting tooth and nail. So what I want to talk about is we need to be recruiting people into the society, finding people to come here and to get active, to keep fighting, because they're still pushing for the same stuff. They don't care Trump's president. By the way, I did a podcast on J.D. Vance showing how bad he is. Y'all don't know, J.D. Vance is a Bilderberg. He went to Bilderberg. Some other notable people that went to Bilderberg was I don't know, that senator out of Arizona that nobody knew, and then all of a sudden he became president, Bill Clinton. Nobody knew who Obama was, and he came out of nowhere. General Petraeus, Condoleezza Rice, all of these people went to Bilderberg, and then they got into a position. That is an organization that meets once a year and plans out the future of the world. They're globalists. Go to jbs.org or go to newamerican.com, type in Bilderberg, and there's a whole slew of information about the Bilderberg organization. It's just like the CFO or the trial. It's basically the deep state. Globalists. Yep. So, what is the difference between a decree that a king does or a edict that a king does and an executive order? It's the same thing. We've been operating like a monarchy. We've not been operating like a republic. Trump comes in 16, he does all these good things in 2016, and then he gets out, Biden comes in, and by executive order undoes everything that Trump did. And now here it is, 2024, Biden's out, Trump's back in, and he's undoing everything Biden did. It's just like a monarchy. King is dead, long live the king. His son takes over and undoes everything that his father did. Only it's worse than a monarchy, because at least in a monarchy, you got stability until the guy dies or abdicates. Here, it's every 4 years. It's chaos. The rules keep changing. Businesses don't know what to do. People don't know what to do. The laws keep changing. Revolving. It's chaos. And I think that's what they want. I mean, it's not even a conspiracy. Was it Klaus Schwab wrote the book, COVID-19 and the Great Reset? That's what they want. It's not even a conspiracy anymore. He's openly telling you what he's wanting. I mean, a conspiracy requires secrecy and evil intent. This is just blatantly evil intent without the secrecy part. So we've been operating like a monarchy. So the question is, who is going to be president in 3.5 years? Who's it going to be? We'll know it again. Is it going to be this guy? Y'all know who that guy is, don't you? Yeah.
Well, whose turn is it? It's the Democrats' turn.
Well, yeah. And hopefully it's not JD Vance, who was an atheist, never Trumper. And then when it became convenient, he became a Roman Catholic. And then when it became convenient, he became a Protestant. Oh, and then now he loves Trump. The leopard doesn't change his spots, does it? And he's married to what, Hindu?
Yeah.
That is Ramaswamy's cousin. Is that right? Who went to Yale. So we have a reprieve, and we need to take advantage of it. We need to go on offense. We need to continue to get people involved. We need to be recruiting. And we need to be thinking about that one person from church or work that always gripes. That's easy to do, right? In this day and age. Listen, when they start complaining, you say, come to these meetings here at the American Legion. Come to these meetings. You want to complain about it, come and do something about it. Join the John Birch Society. And then when they go, no, well, then quit complaining about it. If you're not going to do anything about it, do all things without grumbling or complaining. I like that one. That's fine. So, and this is a video, and they pulled it off of YouTube. This is a video of Klaus Schwab, who he is the founder of the World Economic Forum. He said, we penetrate the cabinets of America, right? We penetrate the cabinets. He said, we have the young globalist leaders, which Nikki Haley is a part of, Pete Buttigieg, Che, Trudeau, Zelensky, Putin, Chavez, Monica Trump, young globalist leader. She married a globalist. Look up who her husband is.
The new Mexican president?
No, it's hard to keep track of all of them. Vivek Ramaswamy, Lee Stafford, Tulsi Gabbard, young globalist leaders. Trump's surrounded by young globalist leaders. Yeah. And he has had, last time, he had more CFR members in his cabinet than any other president in history. Yes. It's also probably why he endorsed lovely Lindsey Graham. But he can't know everybody, so he has to take advice from people when he's getting bad advice, taking counsel from the wicked. But the thing is, the United Nations still has this monument up there trying to take our weapons from us. Trump's president, they don't care. Their goals are still the same. Disarm people. And I like what Sir William Blackstone said. Y'all know who Sir William Blackstone was? He wrote 4-set commentary on common law. He was a British attorney. He said, slaves don't have arms and armaments. Slaves don't have them. Right? And they're still pushing the table across. So here's, this is what the World Economic Forum states, and I'm going to summarize it. It says, they want to, a world effectively controlled by the United Nations is one in which world government would come about through the establishment of a supranational institutions characterized by mandatory universal membership and some ability to employ physical force. In other words, a one world government. That's their openly stated goal. This is not a conspiracy. This is not a theory. When people call me a conspiracy theorist, I say, what theory do I believe? It's not a theory if you can prove it. And here it is, boom, blank, stated it. So here is the arms of the United Nations. We have the International Monetary Fund, or IMF, Agenda 2030. We have a nice pamphlet back there that's free if you're going to get one, Agenda 2030, and the 15 things that they want to take over in our lives for Agenda 2030. The UN Arms Treaty, to control all firearms and armaments. The WTO, control all commerce and free trade. See, in a totalitarian government, they control every aspect of life. Well, my Bible tells me in Matthew 28, Christ said, all authority has been given to me, not to the UN, not to some one group. But that's what communism is. They want to take Christ off his throne and put something else there, anything else. Atheism, whatever. And that's what they're trying to do. NATO, one world army, or peacekeeping things. ICC, control over laws and justice system, and UNESCO. That is what controls the educational, that's the educational arm of the UN. And it is in every single school here. And did you know, as a side fact, since you mentioned Israel, the nation of Israel in 48 was established by the UN. And their first prime minister was a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. And their educational system is following UNESCO's educational plan to the T. That's why 80% of the Jews in Israel are atheists. World Farmers, you have the Food Action Alliance. So if you look, you don't have to look long. In the 20th century alone, every single communist dictator took control of food. Why? You take control of food, you do what I tell you to do or you don't eat, right? How many people did Stalin starve of his own people? How many people did Chairman Mao Zedong and the Chinese Communists starve? Millions. How many people did Mussolini starve? How many Jews did Hitler starve? It doesn't. You don't have to look very far. Just look at the 20th century alone. Every single communist dictator took control of it, and that's what they're doing here. I mean, you're really not for the environment if you go after the Amish for plowing a field with a mule. I mean, really, come on. Who are you for? I was born at 9, I wasn't born last. So here is the Declaration of Independence. It says that men are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. So, especially when COVID took place, government is supposed to protect our rights. According to the Bible, it's supposed to bring evildoers to justice, Romans 13. That's the only thing it's supposed to do. Bring evildoers to justice, and to tax people to bring evildoers to justice. And by bringing evildoers to justice, you protect my rights. Because evildoers violate your rights. They steal from you, they kill you, sleep with your wife. I mean, that's the 10 Commandments. Boom, 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 right? If you look at the 10 Commandments and put it up, and it's the 10 pillars of communism, they are diametrically opposed to one another. They are the antithesis of one another. If anybody's been through the Constitution as a Solution workshop, he puts it up. Boom, there it is. Thou shalt not steal, distribution of wealth. Thou shalt not kill, abortion. And you go and down the list. You abolish, read Plato. The nuclear family, commit adultery. It's blatant. And that's just on top of my head, look at this type of stuff in a totalitarian government. The Bill of Rights. It says the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution or prohibited by it to the states, reserved to the states respectively to the people. Also the 10th Amendment. This is few and defined powers. So you operate on the regulative principle. You can only do what is defined in the Constitution. Now the other principle is the normative principle. I can do whatever I want to do as long as it isn't prohibited. Well, it's impossible to write a contract like that. Because it's impossible to list every single little cotton picking thing and think of everything that they can think of to list not to do. I'll give you an illustration. I'm building the in-law suite on my house. When I drive back home, if I find the Taj Mahal there built onto my house, and then I get a bill, and the bill reflects the Taj Mahal, I'm going to be pretty upset because I don't have the millions of dollars and billions of dollars to do that. But how long would that contract have to be if I say, don't build the Taj Mahal, don't build the Eiffel Tower, don't build the White House? How long would that contract have to be with that contractor to list off all the things? Instead, I sign a work order that says, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, this is the style I want, this is the materials I want, do it. And he doesn't do anything else but what is listed in the work order. Because if you want to do it the normative way, that contract would be reams of paper. It looked probably like a lot of those bills that they signed in D.C. So, the UN's Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This is interesting. I'd recommend reading it. And I quote, "Everyone shall be subject only to such limitations as are determined by law." You're subject to our limitations because we determine law. That don't sound too good, does it? Keep going. "Rights may be subject to certain restrictions, but these shall only be as such are provided by law and are necessary." That's the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights by the United Nations. There's going to be some restrictions on your rights, and we're going to determine those rights by law. International. That sounds like God-given rights, doesn't it? No, they're not. Like I said, they're taking God off his throne and putting the government there, giving you your rights. If they give you rights, then they can take them. And it's interesting because the Soviet Union's Constitution is exactly the same as the United Nations Constitution. It's not scary. Nobody wants to talk about us leaving it. And Trump promised he would get us out of the UN and didn't do it. If he hadn't done it like now, he ain't going to do it. Really. He promised this back in 2016, the first time. What's the holdup? Going backwards. All right, here's the Council of Foreign Relations. And my good friend Evan Mulch, who was my predecessor, y'all know who he was, he gets there quarterly because he likes to know what they're doing. I don't have the time to do that. I got the mistakes. But this is what it says in essence. This is their mission statement. The Council of Foreign Relations, or CFR, is an independent, nonpartisan membership organization or think tank and publisher dedicated to being a resource for its members, government officials, business executives, journalists, educators, and students, civic and religious leaders, and other interested citizens in order to help them better understand the world and the foreign policy choices facing the United States and other countries. And YouTube took this video down of Hillary Clinton saying, "I'm so glad the CFR has an outpost here in D.C. now, so I know where to get my marching orders," end quote. Biden said the same thing. You got to go to Rumble for those videos, though. So here it is. He's saying, J. Reuben Clark, he's saying, and I quote, "The charter, the UN Charter, is a war document, not a peace document, that makes it practically certain we will have future war." And so he is the attorney in the Department of State, or Undersecretary of State, under Coolidge. Long time. When was the last time America, our Congress, has declared war? Anybody know? World War II, that's right. Every other war we've been in has been an unconstitutional war. Okay. Now this is Alexis de Tocqueville. Every citizen in America, this is his assessment of America, every citizen is taught the history of his country and the leading features of its constitution. It is extremely rare to find a man imperfectly acquainted with all those things, and a person wholly ignorant of them is sort of a phenomenon. That was 150 years ago. I think it's flip-flop now. It is rare to find somebody that's even read the Constitution. I was in the state of Georgia talking to one of our members, Moore. I don't know if y'all remember him. He was still on the ground trying to go into the chamber. It actually made national news, Trump talking about it. In my meeting with him, I asked him, I said, "How many senators in the state of Georgia has read the Constitution of the United States?" He said, 3. And I said, "So here's your, since you're in the Georgia legislature, how many senators, your colleagues, has read the Georgia?" Done? He didn't say that. One. Now, it's kind of hard to swear an oath to a document because they have to swear an oath to both. In South Carolina, you have to swear an oath to the South Carolina Constitution and to the federal Constitution. It's kind of hard to uphold it if you don't know what's in it. Am I wrong? Maybe they just get it by osmosis, but they sleep with it. I mean, you just get the Constitution here, you just sleep with it.
They don't have a constitution, they don't have a reason for the constitution.
Well, most of them wouldn't be able to get a secret security clearance either.
Quite a few of the people in my administration never signed the oath.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
Yeah, they never even signed it.
Wow. 8 people.
There you go. Our state constitution, piece of paper, it doesn't even work, the piece of paper it's written on. Nobody knows.
And so, it's pretty bad document, I'll be honest with you. It's not a very good, not a very freedom document. I recommend reading it. So the solution, there it is, the Constitution is the solution. Hearings. When's the last time we did that hearing?
We did 3. Last one was
This series, you need to go through this. This is detrimental. I've seen it at least 600 times.
Matter of fact, when I talked about Ray Nash, who was the deputy, he was the sheriff of Dorchester County, and he gave a part of that 6-week course.
It's good. I like to do a 6-week course in 3 weeks. 2 and 2. Get done. Knock it out. Most people don't show up for the 3rd, 4th, or the 5th, 6th, and 7th. Or the 5th, last one. So that's what we do. And also we're coming out with a new one, probably by the end of the year. It's going to be entitled The Blueprint, The Founder's Blueprint for America. That's going to be a new one, updated some stuff. There's nothing wrong with this one. Some of the illustrations are dated, but the content is timeless. So I like to go to candidates when they're running, and I ask them, I say, have you ever had a course on being a legislator? They go, no. Here's your course. You have your course, and you tell them, come. And get them before they get elected. And once you get their head screwed on straight before they get elected, you're much better off. Here's the Freedom Index. This is part of educating people. This is the 10 part